Hey, I thought I'd share something with you, something that's happened to us. We're at Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma City, staying at the family campground on base. A little tight in here, but still not a bad park, small park. Got here on Monday, set up, no issues. Wednesday, we had some mowers come by and mow. A couple days later, I went out to work on my basement. So got out here, as I'm walking around, lo and behold, look what I discovered. A nice big 10.5 inch, 11 inch gouge. It's not even a scratch, it's a gouge all the way down to the metal. And it's very fresh. And so the only people that have been this close to my RV is myself, which obviously I didn't do that, or the mowers hit it on Wednesday. Honest mistake probably, but I think that's what's happened. I did go address it with the camp host. No one's here this weekend, so I've got to wait till the office opens up tomorrow. But something I definitely got to address. I think the mowers did it. I think it was an accident. I think they were pulling up through here, got as close as they could to the poles, backed up a little bit to go around the poles, and in that process, they gouged it. Another theory is they hit it with the arms that actually steer it, because they're probably trying to get under my slide out, and the arms might have hit it. Either way, I'm about 100% sure, because no one's been on this side of us, so that couldn't happen. There's no metal objects around here. I sure as heck wouldn't pick up a object and some jets flying over. It's awesome. I wouldn't pick up anything and gouge my RV that bad. So I think if they bring a lawnmower over here, they're going to discover that that's how it happened. I'm sure it's an accident and probably didn't even know it. That's what I'm hoping. So anyway, I got to address that with them after I talk to the contractors. If they don't want to take responsibility for it or bring a mower over here and see if that's possible. If they don't, I'm going to have to go address it with the contracting office. Man, you know, you try to take care of your stuff and this happens. Again, I think it's an accident. It's not intentional, but it's still frustrating because now it's going to be on me to fix it at a time where getting things fixed is pretty much a challenge. Everything's backed up for months. So I'm going to have to forecast where we're going to be, getting it fixed. Who's going to fix it? Do we have to get out of our RV and stay somewhere for a few days while they fix it? I mean, this could get a little expensive. So it's just super frustrating that this has happened. You know, it could cost us some money if they don't take a responsibility for it, and then we're going to have to fix it. Or on the other side of that is the emotional side, because this really stinks. You know, it's really frustrating to me that this happened. Anyway, how you handle that? And how do you prevent it in the future? Do I need to stand outside every time a mower comes by my RV? Maybe I just need to get some cones and put some cones out next to my RV. I'm just super frustrated and anxious to see what you got to say. Just like you said. Rear mower. There's a bolt on the frame, and there's a bolt that comes out, and it lines up perfectly where he did. So he must have pulled straight up and come back a little bit to get around the pole, and that's how he scraped it. And the one kid that did it, he had his head down pretty bad. And I told the guys, I was like, look, man, I hope he doesn't lose his job over this. I said, he goes, no, he's not. He's a good kid. I'm like, yeah, it was an accident, I'm sure. Thankfully, it lined up where he did it and didn't even realize it. I would have felt kind of upset if he did it and then knew he did it, but I could tell by the way the mower was, he never knew it. Okay, we just showed you what can happen when you're in a very tight RV spot. And thankfully for us, the Fam Camp lawn mowing company contractor actually took responsibility for it and decided they would pay for the damages. So to get the damages fixed, we looked around for months trying to get somebody to line up the paint job on our travels, and it was almost virtually impossible. So we looked at our route and we decided to go with Eric Raper there in Red Bay, Alabama, and we could get a few more things done at the same time. So Eric Raper actually used to work for Tiffin and painted, and he actually fixed our scratch. I highly recommend, if you have to have any paint work done, you're in the Red Bay area, to get Eric to do it. He does a fantastic job. Really like him and his team there. So I'll leave that number down below so you can actually contact him if you want to set yourself up with some work. Well, it was only a 10-inch scratch. Nothing's cheap these days, and luckily we didn't have to pay for it again. The contractor paid for it. $870. He did a fantastic job. Looks brand new.
2 days worth of work.
2 days worth of work.
Yep.
Truthfully, he could have done it in one day. He didn't really like the color as much, even though it was a color match. And he said, hey, bring it back tomorrow and I'll make it right. And so he actually did come back and fixed it. But you can't tell. I couldn't tell it to the naked eye, but he sure did. And he said he wanted to do it right. So I appreciate that.
We're so thankful that the lawnmower company, like you said, took responsibility, so we weren't out of pocket that repair. And then we just had to work it into our travels. So that was good.
While we were in Red Bay to get the paint work done, we didn't want to make such a big drive and not get a couple more things taken care of. So one of the things, we went out to MSRV Solutions to Dan, and Dan did our flooring and carpeting in our RV and did a fantastic job. But I know he does awnings and slide toppers as well. So one of the things that I wanted to ask him about was, since we've owned the RV, the awning on our passenger side doesn't line up. So you can see when I pulled it in, it's not sitting straight and you have to push it. You can see it on both sides as well here. It doesn't collapse like it's supposed to. And then you always have to go push it in. I've seen this in other people's rigs, but kind of wanted to see if that was something we could get fixed. And also our fabric is actually stretched. So in the end, he played with it a little bit. There wasn't really much they could do with it. Eventually I'm gonna have to just change the fabric, and I think everything will get fixed at that time. The second thing I asked Dan to do was, our front slide toppers actually had a dip in them where the water would pool up, and when it rained. And it didn't have to rain much, but it would always pull up. I'd either have to get up there and blow it off, or we'd have to pull the slides in to drop the water off. And I asked Dan, what can we do? First option was to replace the fabric. That was gonna be about $600. Didn't really want to do that. About $300 a piece. And the second option Dan recommended was to change the positioning of the inside of the slide topper. So I'll show you where Tiffin puts it is right here. You see at the top there. So what he did, there's a gut, your gutter's right here. There's also a slot right here. And it's only about 2 inches, that's it. So he took the fabric out, repositioned it from the back, slid it all the way up here to the front, and put that in. That 2 inches actually made a big difference. We have yet now had any water pool up there since, because it added just enough pitch. So it saved us a lot of money there. Overall, with everything he done for us for the whole afternoon, he only charged me $200, and that's well worth it. And I have to replace those slide toppers for $600, and he did mess with my awning. So really appreciate Dan, and we'll leave that information and link to get in touch with him if you need any work.
You got nice toppers.
Thanks.
I bet you hear it all the time.
More than you know.
I know, because I'm inside.
You know.
All the ladies are looking at your toppers.
Well, you know, it's something to be looked at.
Well,
one of the things that's bothered me since we've owned Winston is the drivability of this rig.
drivability.
With the Freightliner chassis, is that that's a big word.
Yeah.
I don't even sure that's the right word to use. But how this rig drives with a Freightliner chassis, I felt like it had too much play in it. And something never felt right about it, and I've talked to plenty of people about it, and they said get it looked at. So while we're in Red Bay, I lined it up with Bay Diesel to look at the alignment of the front end. I didn't think there's any alignment issues because it seemed to be aligned, but the steering of it, there had to be some way to take some of that play out.
And we have Safety Plus. So.
And we do have the Safety Plus on our rig, so it should really drive a lot better than it does. And after talking to them, they said, yeah, there's got to be something wrong. So actually, while the guys were messing around with the steering box and checking the alignment, they turned the steering wheel really sharp each way. In the process, one of the mechanics at Bay Diesel noticed the steering box would actually have a little bit of play in it when the steering wheel was turned sharp right or sharp left. It's not anything that you can get here and wiggle it. It wasn't that loose, but it would, under pressure, it would move just a little bit. Mechanics saw it, actually took an impact wrench, and there's two or three bolts. Right here's one. Anyway, he put that to the put it on there to the frame and tightened it up, and it totally took that out. I couldn't believe it. I mean, he said it probably been that way for a long time. It's been that way for the 2 years we've owned Winston, but man, it made a world's difference. They were able to line it up. It was just out of alignment just a little bit, but the steering box being loose, and again, I couldn't shake it, I couldn't move it at all. It took under pressure for it to actually move just a hair, and thankfully they were paying attention when the one guy was in and the one guy was out. The guy paid attention enough and saw it, because if he didn't, I probably wouldn't have been able to fix that problem. Now it drives like a dream, so super happy about that. To get that fixed though, the front end alignment and the time they spent was about $480. So it wasn't cheap, but it was well worth the money for something that wasn't driving very well at all. And we've already spent over, drove over 20,000 miles. So it drives way better now. Super happy about that.
You dream about driving?
I do not.
You said it drives like a dream.
Well, I probably shouldn't say that. One of the things that I've been thinking about doing was putting an awning on the driver front slide out to cover our windows, to shade our windows, stay a little cooler while we're in these hot areas.
And keep the shades open.
Keep the shades open. So we did get the Girard awning. Show you. It's a manual awning. It does cover both windows. So it does fit right here. While this awning is open, it covers both windows. So if it's raining, we can have the windows open. If the sun is shining, we can have the shades open. And I tell you what, it's made a big difference. I wasn't sure how much I would like it until I got it. And this thing is working really great. Now, it did cost $1,000, $1,086 actually to have it put in. But I think with us staying in warm weather climates a lot, and just the sun being on this side and allowing us to have our shades open so we can see out, I think it's worth it.
My favorite part was the second, what is that called? The second,
I don't know.
What is that called?
Second clamp, maybe?
The clamp, yeah. We both cringed when we watched him drill that, but I wanted to...
Yeah, we asked them to could we set it higher so we could actually see out the windows a little bit better. As you can see right now,
yeah,
it's all the way down to the bottom of the window. And so they said they could install it, and they put one about 12 inches higher. And so we can have it both ways. We can have it low or high. And
yeah, so we can at least still peek out the windows and still get the sunblock shade. So that's, I mean, I like the whole thing, but that was my favorite.
Yeah.
But asking him to drill that second hole, we both were like, ah!
I actually turned away. I didn't actually look.
Yeah,
Andrew watched. I didn't watch.
Yeah.
But he did it, and I'm glad we did it. So consider that if you get one done. And if you didn't know it, Lippert actually bought out Girard. And
what doesn't Lippert own?
I think they own everything. They own so many things. Back to Girard, they have a great product. So if you ever want to get any new awnings, I would consider Girard first.
Yep, we love it. Fire!
And finally, since we're in Red Bay, one of the things that I wanted to get fixed was this front shade. This front shade was positioned originally where it was a little bit inward on the right hand side, and it wasn't much, but what would happen is when you roll it up, it would start wrinkling on this side because it was put under pressure up against this post right here. And so I went to Tiffin. I thought they may do it because it was manufactured that way, but I ended up having to pay for it. But the reason I didn't do it myself, on the front side of this bracket is machine screws. On the back side of the bracket is wood screws. I thought the machine screws potentially may go into a plate or something to hold it up there. Well, come to find out, when Tiffin makes a move and changes these things and repositions them, they just use wood screws. So I could have done that myself. It cost me $25 to get it done, even though I was only there about 15 minutes. And then they throw in another $25 shop material, so it's really about 50 bucks, something I could have done myself. So please, if you have to reposition your front shade, know that they don't put machine screws back in it, they just put wood screws, so you can make that change yourself. And I only had to change it, if you can see, a little more than an inch. It's about all it was right here, but it made all the difference in the world and actually corrected the problem.
Nice shirt.
Thanks. Listen, go out there and get these on Skydo.com, and these things are super soft. Don't you just love like a soft shirt? Feels so good. But that's what these shirts are. So go out there and get you one under Skydo.com.
Here's the only snowman I'm gonna have in Florida, right there. Last but not least, the most expensive purchase this summer, right?
We did get a Magna Shade. I'm super happy we've got it. We did get both passenger and driver's side and the door shades to go along with the front. We're currently in a spot that we don't need the front, so I have it tucked away, so I don't have it on. But these sides, the front, were about $1,200. And I tell you though, it makes a world of difference. I think I was doing some temperature settings, and at one point the shade, the night shade down with no Magna Shade, was about 135 degrees heat when we were in Oklahoma. And I checked it later on with the Magna Shade on, and it was really about 80 some degrees. So huge difference. I couldn't believe it. They are a little tricky to put on, the big one in the front. I did watch the owner of Magna Shade do one himself, so I tried to just emulate him, and so I don't look so crazy out there trying to put this thing up. But it is a little tricky to put it up on the front, the big one. If you have a helper, it's not so bad.
Your helper's usually at Target.
My helper was not here, so I've learned to do it by myself. But anyway, it's a good product. As you can see, we did spend a little more money than we originally planned this year, but the Magna Shade and the awning over the driver's side windows, I think it's going to make a big difference.
Yeah, those are the big ticket items, so.
Yeah, and we're already seeing the difference in the temperatures inside the RV as well, so we like it.
Yeah, and we like the scratch fixed.
Yes.
And he really likes the steering, so much so
Yes.
It's a dream to drive now.
A dream to drive. Actually, it does drive so much better. You guys just don't, you have no idea. I was sawing that wheel.
He was, yeah.
Unnecessarily, and everybody thought I was crazy, and
yeah.
But those guys found it, and I really appreciate that.
Right, so we'll leave all those links below if you're looking for anybody. If you're in Red Bay, Alabama, all the links will below, along with the links for these t-shirts. We got a couple different colors and patterns. Yeah. We got some long sleeve. We got the original logo out there too, so all the links are below. Also, hey, leave us a comment. What'd you fix this summer that you either planned or didn't plan? And hey, do you have the Magna Shade? It's a good investment. It is a good investment. So even though we don't have ours up right now because we get no sun on our front right now, when we have sun anywhere at all on the front, Magna Shade's up. So anyway, y'all, we'll see you at the Super Show for sure, and enjoy the next few videos. I think they're going to be on our time in Utah. We spent a whole month there, so love Utah. We loved Utah. Until next time, seatbelts on. Seatbelts on. All right. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sweating. Ready? You good? I'm sweating. Where's my fan? Yeah. So